just a little bit to kind of record something. What I'm kind of thinking is on your character builder, everyone always goes like 3 points into a stat, and then they end up putting, say, advanced awareness or advanced camouflage, something like that. But I'm starting to think maybe there's a better way to kind of min max your skills. So if we look at this, essentially we have, say, strength and dexterity. Now these are the and these are probably the two main ones that I'm kind of thinking about with this plan. Intelligence doesn't really level at the moment, so it doesn't really matter for the most part. And I'm not sure if I want to keep 5 intelligence or not. But basically, what's going on is if intelligence is a flat rate and never changes, then you don't have to worry about it degrading as you play. Conditioning degrades as you play, and I feel like it's better early game, and then later on into the game, you're going to end up with, say, um, a vehicle, or or you already have enough goods, or you end up camping, something like that. You know where you're going. You probably don't need as much movement speed, even if it is helpful. And if your character gets out of shape, you're going to have to level that back up. So I kind of like medium running, and then I can level up my endurance as I go. I'm really not 100% on that. But then when you look at things like melee weapons, it's something that's very useful at the beginning of the game, and it's useful at the later parts of the game to save you every now and then. But do you necessarily need maximum melee damage on your ability? What I'm finding right now is that if you go 2 points below advanced on your skills, essentially from what I saw, is that it's going to take you about the same amount of skill points to get to advanced as it would to get from zero to medium. So this means that you're stronger than somebody that doesn't have the ability at the beginning of the game, but you're a tad weaker than somebody who has a fully maxed stat. But now you have a little bit of extra points and something else that can give you an advantage somewhere else. And now in strength, I was bringing brawling originally, and I was also upping my strength value uh, to get as much as I could out of it, because at the beginning of the game, I figured being as strong as possible would be the best option. Now, what I'm kind of starting to think is that if I want melee weapons, I can start with melee weapons right here. And this will be decent and level up to max relatively quickly because this doesn't level up very fast. And it lets me have 2.8 strength, which I can put into another ability. Now, when I'm looking at this, I kind of almost want to put it into conditioning, because if I'm able to run faster and stuff at the beginning of the game, and say I can run longer distances and stuff under high weight loads, then this would multiply the effect of my strength training. And from what I've read, strength increases faster if you have less strength, and it increases under weight loads. So the less strength you have, the faster it'll level up. So I think, and it requires protein and weight. That's basically it. So as long as you're eating calories and protein, you can gain muscle. Now, from what I'm gathering, dexterity levels when you lose weight, lose calories. So as long as you're eating a lot of food, you're going to be able to keep on some body weight and then lose it with dexterity. Dexterity is almost passive. So as long as you have calories and stuff burning, dexterity is pretty much passive, and it'll continuously level up the whole way. Now, I don't know what the rate is for dexterity to increase, but from this, we'd only need it to go up zero point 0.2 for our dex to go up enough for us to get stealth to max. And then this would only have to go up the same amount of distance from 0 to here. So whenever we get this to 3, we can level this up in the same amount of time that someone having no stealth would level up to medium, which I feel is acceptable. And this also means that, hopefully by the time that we're getting this to 2.3 or whatever, we're getting a vehicle or we're starting to level up some of these other abilities. And then basically they will be almost there by the time this goes up to 3. And then you would get advanced and two skills at relatively the same time. When we're looking at the running, I haven't really figured out the best thing here, but I'm thinking we need to base this around dexterity and conditioning. The issue is that I want to keep my melee weapons on strength because it takes a long time to level that skill. So I want to keep that pretty much where it is, and I don't really care about increasing any of these other abilities very fast at all. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. So I think melee and strength is about perfect to where it is. We're going to do a little bit less damage early game, but that's perfectly fine. Uh, the condition skills a little bit lower than I usually do. I usually want it medium, and then I just level my endurance. Stealth, you're going to have enough stealth to beat somebody who has medium awareness, but you're not going to have enough stealth to beat somebody who has maximum awareness. Okay, so that's just a balance of probabilities. If stealth is mainly for AI, then I think this would be fine, and you can finish leveling it up with the AI. Camouflage currently, I have it at advanced, but we can drop this down 2 points, possibly 3 points. It's a passive skill that you can level up on your own, and I'm kind of flip flopping between camouflage and awareness. Here's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, so awareness has to be higher than the enemy's camouflage to deactivate it. And so if people are going maximum awareness on their PvP characters, the only thing that they can do for camouflage is to go to medium camouflage. So if I have 1 or 2 points above medium on my awareness, it'll counteract all their camouflage points. Now they can level up camouflage passively if they want, but if they do that, I'm going to be able to level up looting gear. And also, they can only gain camouflage at a set passive rate, whereas I can possibly go and grab a bunch of items and then speed level awareness up to max. This also means that I will have the same amount of time from 0 to medium to level up this from where it is now to max, and anyone that has medium awareness will not beat my camouflage. And then if they try to power level their camouflage or their awareness up, I only have a limited amount of time before I am maxed at level 3 as well. Now, I think this right here is pretty much perfect to what I'm looking for, and I could start with basic survival, which ideally is what I want to do, but I don't really need basic survival off the bat because everyone who comes into the game has the basic building blocks for survival. Now, to level up survival, you only have to really cut down and process like 10 trees or so, and that's perfectly fine. So I don't necessarily need this skill. I can do this myself. Engineering, I could possibly need this to level some stuff up. I'm not exactly sure if I want engineering or not, and I don't really have any interest in all this. So I can keep survival up to where I can use this and level it up relatively fast. My idea is that I wanted to land on the ground, be able to cut down my trees, make some bows and arrows and everything, and then this instantly unlock basic. And then I can switch right over to hunting animals and collecting meat to start increasing my food supply and all of that. However, if I'm going to have to level my engineering, I can level up by cutting down and processing trees for my survival. And then I could start with basic engineering, or I could kind of split this 50-50 to where I don't necessarily need as much. But with basic engineering, that would give us a little bit. Now, if I don't use either of these, I can still level up and do whatever I need to with all these abilities and such. But I can have an extra point out of intelligence to put into another stat. And now this is what's really making this difficult because essentially when we do this, this drops here. So you can't really get a perfect balance with all these abilities here. But you could do, say, 4.5, 4.6, but it kind of seems like a waste because then you're going to be able to get this to where you want it, and then you're going to be able to get this up to medium, and then a little bit over. But you still have 0.4 points here, so you need 4.2. The main issue with this is trying to figure out how fast dexterity and strength can level, and then if you want more into conditioning, because the conditioning essentially just seems to be for the beginning of the game, is how I'm looking at it. All right, so now we can go camo, drop it down 2, and then go awareness, and you can see we're at 4.2, and it's kind of stuck here. So let's go back up to 4.4. Camouflage up to advanced, down 2 ticks. Medium is 1 over on that. So, I mean, that's about where you'd want it essentially at the beginning. It's not necessarily the best, but it's okay. Now here, you would have to level up your survival and engineering basically from the get-go. Now, my issue is I don't necessarily like the grind when it comes to the survival and all that. You can level it up by cutting the trees, but you also have quite a lot that you're going to have to get done to start getting into the second tier of the survival here. So, personally, I think I would prefer to be able to go land, chop down, get my stuff ready, instantly be able to craft a backpack and stuff and get to hunting. I don't really have the exact balance on this, but that's the basic concept of how I'm thinking this would work out if we were to build this kind of how it is now. And then what we have here, we have running and we have stealth. We don't really want to level this up to 3. We could put the rest, pretty much you'd put the rest of this in constitution, which moves this to 2, which would allow us to get medium or a little bit more advanced running, and then we could get basic endurance. So, I mean, that's a pretty decent, solid set for beginning on conditioning. The only other things I could really think to do here, if we were going to do anything else, is probably could drop this down to 1.5, which is just enough for running to go to medium. And then we could have camouflage advanced, drop down 2 ticks. This goes to medium, go up 1 tick. Survival, you could go to basic. Or say we could drop this down 1 tick or 2 ticks. I'm going to say 1 tick, put that up another tick. If you go down 2 ticks, that's acceptable, and we could go here. Now, how I'm going to kind of divide this up. So let's say we put survival on basic. From survival to go to 0 to basic is 10,000 XP, and it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're talking about 200 XP per point put into this survival right now. You need 10,000 XP. I don't know exactly how long that takes, but processing trees, I don't think will take as long as building for engineering. So it may be worth it for me to just increase the engineering ability. So let me research this. Let's see, basic engineering. Positive effects allows you to craft locks. Basic engineering can craft rusty locks. Medium engineering can craft silver. Advanced engineering can craft gold. Allows you to make better levels of palisades as engineering is increased. All right. So basic engineering gives you iron locks and automatic weapons can be repaired. Improvised wooden chest, basic zappers. Advanced, you can upgrade your walls and things. So as much as I want to get advanced engineering, I feel like it'll be too much for me to actually handle. So if we go like basic engineering, first off, we need to put this point here. That's okay, but I don't think we necessarily need basic right off the bat. So let's say that we do one down here, or we go balanced in between the two skills. This is where we were at before. So essentially, I could balance these out sort of like this. Right now, with the survival, we would essentially need, let's see if it was 5. So we're at 3. So we'd have 600, or we'd have, what was it, 10,000? So we'd have 6,000 XP here. We need 4,000 more XP to get basic survival. Then we would need, this is 2. So you need 8,000 XP for basic engineering. I think that is an acceptable amount if I'm going to preface that. This also means that once they implement increases to intelligence, if they do, then that means that you'd only need a little bit of increase to get to 5, and that will allow you to unlock all of the team members that you can get early. So you'd be a little bit behind, but I don't think it would be that big of a deal. So let's go back over here real quick, see if this is reloaded. Okay, so edit, let's go over here. Okay. So let's go in game real quick and kind of see what this looks like so you can get a better idea of what I'm saying. The character looks a little thin, but I think it'll be okay. So we're going to go ahead and create this if it didn't time out. But essentially, all I'm trying to do here is that I want access to as many skills as I can as fast as possible without slowing down all of the gain. I'm not going to be using camo 24/7. I'm probably not going to be using camo hardly at all at the beginning of the game. However, to level camo all the way up from 0 to full will take a while. However, I will be using awareness quite a bit at the beginning of the game and throughout the whole game. So having it to where I can go and use that ability, level it up as I'm going along, and then be able to beat basic camo, I think would be fine. I know basic or medium awareness is enough for me to track animals, which allows me to get protein, which should allow me to build my strength, as well as get extra calories that I can use to level dexterity. Where are we at? So we're over here in this crevice. So this isn't a terrible spot, I don't think, because it gives me access to snow and the ground here, as well as, well, I mean, it's kind of a far way to get to the selling station, but it's not too bad. And it looks as such, we at least have some fresh water here, so that is a plus. Because I'm guessing this will be fresh water from a lake, and all of these will be fresh water, so it's good to have a fresh water source. Now, what I'm talking about when I'm saying this is when you look at our skills right now, this right here is conditioning, and the current is 1.50027. So it's slowly degrading. And for me to keep that going, I have to continuously move. Okay. So the change right now is going up a little bit, half a point or so a day. Affected by activity plus such and such per hour. So that'll slowly go up, and it's going to be a relatively slow grind for that to go up. But anytime that I am moving, anytime that I am active, that will increase. And eventually, from what I gather, it should go up to like 1.6, 1.7, all the way up to 2. However, for the most part in the game, medium running has been decent enough for me to do pretty much anything that I want. And I figure once you get all your stuff pretty much set up, you don't need this medium running anymore. You're going to have a car, you're going to have, a number of other things. Your character is going to get kind of lazy. And once you stop moving or you're setting around, it's going to slowly go down again. Now, intelligence doesn't move at all. And technically, with 4.9, it's going to be kind of a waste because it's not 5 points. So I can't get the maximum value out of my base intelligence. However, 4 players for me is usually enough because I feel like a team of 5 is just about what you would want, and then eventually they should add a way to increase this intelligence, which means instead of having my max player count at the very beginning, it will take me a little bit to level this up, but I could get it to 5 relatively quickly and be on the same par with other people. Now, if you look here, this is the dexterity, and currently at 2.80002. So it is leveling up at a slow rate, and the change is going up a very, very little per day. So I don't know exactly how long it would take to level this up, but we need zero point 0.2 points to get that up all the way to 3. And once it gets to 3, our stealth can be 100% leveled. Now, if we go and look at stealth, we can see that we have 866,668 XP, and we need a million XP. So you're going to need about 34,000 or so to get to 900,000. and then you're going to need another 100,000 to get that up. So you need about 140,000 XP to finish maxing this out. Now, starting levels, when you're looking over there, the beginning level is 10,000 XP for the basic level, and then the second level is 100,000 XP. So you're looking at about 110,000 XP to get to medium skill on these abilities. Now, getting to medium skill on these abilities aren't really that difficult. It's the final grind to get to the top, which is going to be the slow part. So running here is probably about as good as we can get. We're losing about 5% of our actual run speed and stuff here. But we are also, I guess, saving some consumption rate. I don't really know exactly, but the advance was giving us 15%, so we're losing 5% movement speed off of that. And the endurance helps us with retention and everything else, but I don't think it's the biggest thing in the world at the moment. Melee weapons, you can see we're going to need another 100,000, 140,000 XP, but it is already high enough to deal with most things that we are going to deal with in the world. And we will be using this early game, and we will be using this rarely later on in the game. Now, if we look at strength, though, the current is 2.8, the change is at 0, and it's affected by it is raised by a proper protein intake and executing actions under load. So anytime that we loot or move a bunch of stuff, we can level up our strength. It is lowered by protein deficiency and loss of muscle mass. It influences carry weight, melee damage, and calorie burning. So having a higher strength is going to cause us to burn more calories, which also helps us right here with our fat loss, which will then increase dexterity. Now, we need a bunch of protein and meats to eat to gain weight and strength, which will then need us to lose weight, which will fuel this dexterity. However, our constitution is going to suffer. However, I don't think constitution is a late game skill for the most part. It's useful, but at 5% movement speed, I don't think it's going to be the biggest thing. The reload speeds and all of that, I think, are going to be much more practical. And we can already see that this is growing at a decent rate. It'll take a while before this gets anywhere, but we're talking, a month or so, maybe it'll go up. I don't really know. But this is all going to be kind of a test. Melee weapon's going to be good. Running is pretty decent. Stealth is pretty decent. So the stealth, for the most part, the way I'm looking at it is if a player has advanced awareness, they counteract your stealth and they can counteract your camo. Now, if that happens, it's it's helpful, but it's not the best thing in the world. People are saying that this is mainly for the AI and things like that, and if they add any of the AI that I saw today in an update, then this will be definitely necessary and I think will help quite a lot. Now, all these other ones I can level up over time. It won't be that big of a deal, but stealth requires me to crouch walk constantly to level it up. And although I do crouch walk, I don't crouch walk all the time, especially early game. But you can see as we crouch walk or crawl on the ground, it's going up consistently over time. And you can see we've already gained 100 points. So now we just need, 140,000 points. It'll take it a little bit to get there. Now, we could passively level this AFK, but instead of it taking days, we could probably get that done in a day or so, which that means that we can pretty much get this stealth where we want. And technically, we could reduce stealth and then AFK level it the rest of the way up here, depending on how much you can gather in a day, and then put maybe basic and some of these other things. But all these other things are going to give you fame points from the most part. All these things, archery, handguns, rifles, all that will give you extra fame points. Now, the archery is what we're starting off with. We were using ours earlier and almost got it all, I think, basic or medium. And archery was relatively effective early in the game, even without a bunch of strength. Um, so right now we're at 6,000 XP on survival. So we need 4,000 XP to basically get this up to the next part, and then this is at 4,000, so we need 6,000 XP to get to the next part. And we're gonna try and do this without cheesing anything super hard. As you can see here, this camouflage is at 87%, and we need the 140,000. But you can see simply laying on the ground will increase this, I think, by, what was I going up by? That's going up by 20 each time, so that's faster than it was before. Yeah, so that's going up a lot faster. And I'm assuming it's probably because there is a wolf or something nearby. So this is kind of twofold to where the AI is going to be our source of food to level up our skills, but the AI is also going to be a boost for our leveling. As we can see that we can level this out and max this out relatively quickly. We can passively level this up and we can passively level up the other stuff at the same time. So let's go ahead over here and take a look at our post real quick. Go back and look at this. Camouflage. So I mean this has already gained a couple thousand, like 2,000. So it'll just take a little bit of time. For the most part now, we're in a pretty interesting area that I've never been in before. I think this would be an area that has access to a decent amount of animals in the cold biome. There's a little city right here. The big city is, not too far away. I don't think it'd be too bad. And we have access to clean water. So this kind of makes me think, um, if we have access to clean water here, we could follow it downstream if we wanted to. Maybe we build a raft and it allows us to go down there as well. But having the water and an access to food will be pretty important just to having a decent lifestyle out here. Then we're going to go ahead and look at the crafting real quick. So Our no skill here, we can make all these bows and all this stuff. We can get the basic 9mm crafted bullets, an improvised crossbow, which I never really used before. It's kind of interesting. Um, didn't know that was a thing. But as we can see, the basic abilities that you unlock, I think this might still be survival and maybe some engineering. Some of this is demolitions, but you'll unlock the metal knives, the kunais, the hatchets, the metal axes, wheelbarrows, fishing lines, water buckets, and you get the improvised handgun and the improvised shotgun. So once we get to this stage, we'll be able to go into town and build some basic firearms, as well as, probably find some ammunitions or something for those, and we get access to the metal arrow tips. So that'll all be very good. Pipe bomb would probably be, if I was going to put 3 points into dexterity, I think pipe bomb could be good. Now, figuring out how we're going to do all this is going to be kind of an interesting bit. So it looks like medium. I mean, we have these metal detectors. It looks like you have 38 and 34 crafted bullets. I don't recall seeing that before. So that's kind of interesting. Rubber rat-a-tat, bolt magazine for rubber rat-a-tat, automatic crossbow. That's interesting. 12 gauge buckshot improvised cartridge. So we need medium engineering for that. That's pretty interesting. Then we get an improvised rifle rail, so we can make some basic stuff there. Or maybe that's medium demolition that you need to actually build that. I feel like that's going to be medium demolition. I think we'll have to see, but because all this seems like it's a demolition skill. So, because explosive arrows and everything here, but I know some of these are survival stuff. If we do look at this though, if we were going to level this up, I mean, it gives us all the bullets that we could need there, but you need to find the black powder and these lead plates, which apparently come out of car batteries. So it's kind of interesting. I'm really kind of interested in that mainly because it could make hunting easier. If we're gonna level everything up hunting, being able to craft those could be nice. To get that increased though, we would probably need to decrease our running speeds, I would assume, or we'd have to decrease our intelligence to 4, dump those points into dex, and then dex would allow us to, well, dex allows you to craft faster as well, so that is also a benefit. But if we put those 9 points there, we would lose our sur- we would lose our extra skill slots that we had. It may be worth it to do it anyway, though. I don't know. We'll have to see real quick. So we'll go ahead and find a couple things, chop down a few things. Now, build-wise, we could build at where the water starts, or we could go down to where we're a little bit closer to some of these buildings, maybe. I don't know exactly what the best call is here. Oh, no. That's not good because we're stuck. Dang. So apparently setting around wolf caves and stuff is a way to level up your stuff a little bit faster, maybe. But we'll go ahead and go in there, and I think you could probably get a couple hundred XP off of cutting one tree down. So if I was gonna give anything up when it comes to those skill points, I would probably just go ahead and do the survival skill because it's really just extra time for me to cut down trees. When it comes to the survival skills, I don't really think I need anything besides the first couple of abilities. So let me take a second here. So we're gonna go ahead and look back in here again. So this right here is the first of the survival skills. So you see like just the no skill items, we can get some improvised fish hooks, the bag, some of these water collectors, head sack, quiver. You can make lock picks and necklaces and things. Um, all of that is fine. Okay, all this stuff is fine. But the basic is what we're after. So you can get a primitive compass. That's okay, but this improvised backpack is what I'm after. So it's made out of basic materials, a bit heavier than normal one and less durable, but offers the same amount of space. So this is a decent backpack that'll allow us to do quite a bit. You can use improvised rope. We do have to find thread, and that is the one thing in this game apparently you can't craft. So that's probably the one downside to everything, is that we can't craft that thread apparently. But everything else here doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. Once we get the backpack, we can hunt more, get more skins, which we can use to make more stuff, make clothing, so we don't have to worry about clothing anymore. To do that, though, we need lots and lots of thread, and that is where I'm not exactly sure where to get thread. But we also get this improvised raincoat, rain collector, so we need gasoline and a raincoat. Was that the improvised one? Yeah, so you can use the improvised raincoat as well, which is right here and requires an empty bag, some kind of tool, and duct tape. So that's a relatively simple craft for an improvised raincoat rain collector. However, if we build next to water, probably won't need the rain collector. These improvised water bottles, though, we need more thread for these, but you can see that we can use this to make a water bottle, which will let us travel around and have some extra water and kind of get into cooking apparently, but I don't really know much about cooking. Let's see, we got the boots, bear shoes, so bear shoes or the boots, that's fine. Animal skins, lock protection, basic security system for locks. So that's all pretty interesting, and we get the iron lock, which allows us to lock some things. So that's pretty much why I wanted that. And then you can get the improvised bulletproof armor. So if I don't have access to armors, I can kind of level this, get to basic, and then go out into the world. And then you can see like medium. I believe this is the engineering section. So basic engineering should give you this iron lock, as far as I know. And then you can get the silver locks and these fancy door protectors and locked protection advanced and forced lock here. The thing is that I'm pretty sure these locks are going to end up being a weak point on a base. Any base that I build that has a lock that's very easy to pickpocket, I feel like that right there is going to be very easy for people to break into, to be honest, and probably why people don't use actual locks on their bases. And that's kind of the downside to a lot of survival games is that you can't use stuff like this because it's too easy to break into. So if they did anything like that, they basically just need to make it to where you can't pick locks on your bases, but it's whatever. All right, so there we got blueprints. So it doesn't require any skills for any of these fires, these traps, stake pits. I don't know why a stake pit needs car batteries. But then we can get these wooden chests, so that's pretty good. You can get these torches. You can make fancy little headgear things, or a basic shelter, signs, fortifications, alarm systems, all of that. I believe these wheelbarrows and things come with basic engineering. So, I mean, if these survival things up here come with these bullets, uh, I'm perfectly fine with that. That basically means when we get to medium survival, we'll be able to get a 38 and a 44. And the shotgun cartridges will be probably the best thing that we can get there. But this wheelbarrow, I think, will be pretty handy. Designed to push and guided by a single person using only two handles at the rear. Very useful for short distance transportation of materials. If we have a high protein intake and everything, then loading this wheelbarrow will probably count as heavy weight. We get access to a raft, so waterbound vehicle for short distance sea travel. We might be able to use that into the river. I don't really know, and it has storage on it, which would be nice. You can also do a big one, but that requires a whole lot more. Probably not worth the time, to be honest. And this one just requires bottles and tree branches, and then you can get medium fortifications. So all of the fortifications and stuff would probably be decent for just a regular base, but you can see the basic to the medium. I mean, you get improved wooden chest and you get advanced fortifications, and then here you just get an improvised metal chest. I'm perfectly fine with just normal base fortifications. And then they have base building. So this is the basics, it's just the wood. It's pretty simple. And then basic engineering. This is what's confusing me, is because this is just blueprints. But basic engineering, we can get these watchtowers, all these wooden buildings, just kind of a basic, simple base blocks, all of that. Medium engineering, we get the improvised workbench, which is what we'll need to make um, any sort of bullet or something like that. The improvised well would probably be needed for moving to some kind of isolated area, and then you get all these trophies and stuff you can give. The large woodshed would probably be something I would build just to kind of keep our wood organized. But yeah, it's not too. I don't really care so much about this large wooden cabin. Advanced engineering. I mean, advanced engineering is going to unlock the fancy locks and stuff for us. This big cabin, and being able to upgrade our base to a higher material. So I don't think it's really the most important thing in the world, to be honest. Now, if we come back over here, what were we talking about a second ago? I think you were gonna drop. We're gonna see how fast that we can level some of these things first, and then we'll see if we're gonna drop anything. Because right now, I mainly just want to. I don't know exactly what I plan on doing yet, but I think what we do is build the stone knife, or build the stone axe, and then build the a bow and arrow, get all that stuff going, and then probably go from there. So we're getting 100 XP from some of this stuff. That was 50. So, I mean, it'd just take a little bit of time to get everything like cut. But basically, all this is like cutting down trees and refining them into materials, and that's exactly what you need. And then if you know what you're building when you're doing engineering, you probably just go ahead and cut everything down to size. Yeah. So, what we're doing, we were wanting essentially what we want is some rope. Don't need that one. All right. This some rope, then we need some rocks, and then from the rocks we can build the old axe, and then the axe can replace the knife. I can't even imagine cutting down a whole tree bush with a rock. It'd suck. All right, give me a second. I'm gonna search for rocks. Okay, so now we get the axe head. And right now we're just doing the bare basics is what I'm going after here. So craft a stone axe. So this gives us a decent melee weapon to use. Okay. And so this axe can replace this knife if we really want it to. May just keep the knife on us for now. What do I normally craft after this? We could go ahead and make some rope because we're going to need one for this backpack, which we usually use for a quiver. So let's just go ahead and we're going to need 2 rope as far as I know. So let's go ahead and grab these small sticks real quick. 2, 3, 4, 5. Make tree bark rope. I'll probably just go ahead and drop that. Grab the rope so we can store it for later. Got small wooden sticks. We gotta cut these into some different size sticks. It would probably be better for me to just go ahead and craft some spears, but go ahead and craft some tree bark rope. And I'll go ahead and restart the stream so I have this video.